Battlefield 6 just released a new update, and depending on who you ask, it either saved the game, ruined the game, or confirmed that the developers are legally forbidden to play their own product. Some people are celebrating like this patch was handwritten by angels. Others are acting like it was smuggled in by the same people who ruined the McRib. Personally, I think the update is perfect. If you enjoy progress, chaos, and the slow realization that your entire sense of in-game accomplishment now depends on a loading bar that feels slower than your parents' approval. This isn't just a patch. This is emotional manipulation packaged as game balance. Because, let's be honest, this wasn't a normal update. It wasn't one of those harmless, we fixed a few bugs, please clap patches. Number. This was a quiet shift in power, disguised as a quality of life change. The kind of update that seems harmless at first, until you realize you've just spent 45 minutes grinding XP in a game mode you swore you'd never touch, surrounded by bots who are programmed with the same emotional depth as an unplugged blender. And somewhere in that process, you don't even remember how you got there. One minute you're choosing a loadout, the next minute you're reenacting therapy scenes with an assault rifle. But don't worry, I'm here. A man of wisdom, experience, and at least 46 confirmed rage quits, not counting the times I uninstalled the game just to reinstall it out of spite. I've been through war. Digital war. I've watched full squads wipe because someone tried to revive a teammate with a smoke grenade. I've seen players jump out of helicopters like gravity was a rumor. So, strap in, grab your emotional support G Fuel. Sit in a posture that suggests you're still in control of your life. And let's break this update down, like a therapist who stopped taking insurance and stopped caring. When Battlefield 6 launched, people had hope. Not normal hope. Delusional gamer hope. The kind where people say things like, this time, it'll be different. The trailers looked amazing. The devs promised they listened. And then the game shows up missing basic features like, it was built in a garage by a raccoon trying to speedrun Unity. So, this update was supposed to be the turning point, the moment. The, we fixed things, trust us again, patch. Instead, it immediately triggered the two natural tribes of the Battlefield ecosystem. Group A. Finally, they fixed stuff. We are blessed. We are eating. These are the optimists, the patch note enjoyers, the people who will forgive any game as long as the font in the menu got 3% cleaner. Group B. This isn't a fix. This is the same trash, but with a slightly different smell. These are the veterans, the people who haven't experienced joy since Bad Company 2. They don't see updates. They see propaganda painted in UI changes. And if you're wondering which group is right, it's Group B. It's always Group B. Group A still believes their dad is coming home with the milk, because the update didn't actually solve the core issues. It just rearranged the punishments in a nicer font. It didn't say, here's freedom. It said, here's freedom, but only if you play the exact modes we want. Level up exactly how we say, and behave like a well-trained XP collecting golden retriever. And somehow, people didn't notice. Not until the challenge system started acting like a toxic ex who texts, no big deal, but you ruined everything. Here's how the challenge reroll system was supposed to work. You get daily and weekly challenges. If you don't like one, you reroll it. Everyone claps, progression feels fair, society advances. That's how it looked on paper. But in reality, don't want to play RedSec? Cool, reroll. Oh look, another RedSec challenge. Try again, boom, same mode, same requirement, same emotional damage. It was like the devs coded karma directly into the UI. You dare to defy the sacred mode? Then suffer, peasant. Players didn't just dislike this, they revolted. Forums caught fire. Reddit threads went feral. Twitter turned into a support group for people forced into RedSec against their will. People screamed in voice chat, louder than the guy who found out reviving doesn't cure bullet wounds. Because nothing says player empowerment like a challenge system that basically tells you, hey champ, go play the mode you hate or stay at level 3 forever. And after the backlash started producing enough electricity to power a small suburb, the devs came back like, oh wow, you guys didn't like that? Crazy, so random, total surprise. Anyway, we fixed it now. But fixing it wasn't the victory people thought it was. Because the real question wasn't, why did they fix it? It was, why was it designed like that in the first place? Once the reroll fix hit, players started connecting the dots. And let me tell you, this wasn't a dot-to-dot puzzle. This was a crime scene corkboard with string tied to sticky notes labeled, what the hell is going on? Because the truth is simple. RedSec was dying. Player counts were dropping. Matchmaking was slower than Battlefield animations at launch. Nobody was queuing for it unless they were lost, drunk, or doing a challenge against their will. So, what do you do when a game mode is dying? Do you fix the gameplay? Do you update the rewards? Do you take player feedbacks? Do you admit the mode was a mistake? Number, you weaponize the progression system. You tie XP to it. You tie challenges to it. You tie battle pass progress to it. You make the players need the mode, even if they don't want the mode. That's not game design. That's behavioral economics wearing camo pants. And it would have been the biggest controversy if XP farming hadn't gone nuclear first. Let's talk about Portal Mode, also known as what if Battlefield let players build custom servers and everyone used it to commit tax fraud but with bullets? When the game launched, every Portal server fell into one of three categories: AFK, XP farm, no bans, free levels. Bot killing, 1 HP, unlock everything, faster than therapy. Can fix you stand still, shoot bots, get rewards, we don't judge. People were leveling up so fast that they were unlocking guns that didn't even exist yet. One guy hit level 75 before he figured out how to crouch. Another dude prestiged while his PC was asleep. So the devs did what any studio does when they realize their system is being used exactly how players want, instead of how they want. They panicked, then they patched, then they pretended the panic never happened. First, they nerfed bot XP, then they blocked certain server types. Then they started manually deleting XP farms like a janitor sweeping up confetti after a funeral for someone nobody liked. But here's the plot twist. They didn't remove XP farming because it was unfair. They removed it because it was competing with their new plan. This update didn't destroy farm servers. It replaced them with an official XP farm that looks legitimate, but still keeps players exactly where the devs want them. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is when we enter. So after Battlefield spent weeks shutting down unofficial XP farms like a dictator, banning unlicensed joy, the devs finally looked at the situation and said, fine, if the players are going to commit XP crimes, we may as well build a government-approved crime zone. Enter Casual Breakthrough, a mode that pretends to be about relaxed gameplay, but is really just the sanitized corporate-friendly version of the exact XP farming they spent months punishing. On paper, it sounds wholesome, smaller lobbies. Bots included XP still earns progression, challenges still count. You don't have to play sweaty matches against people who sleep with their mouse DPI settings under their pillow. Aw, cute. Like EA is suddenly nurturing its player base like a disappointed parent who finally gave up yelling and is now bribing you with ice cream. But let's remove the marketing filter. Casual Breakthrough is not a playlist. It's a controlled XP meth lab. Except the meth is legal, the lab is supervised, and the DEA is the same company selling the ingredients. Because here's how it actually works. You fight half real players, half bots. You get full XP for killing humans. You get reduced XP for killing bots. You can level weapons, career rank, and battle pass. Normally, but your stats, accolades, and dog tags don't count. Meaning, you get the grind, but not the glory. You get the progress, but not the bragging rights. You can level a gun, but nobody will ever see the number. That is not a balanced decision. That is a mental leash. It's Battlefield saying, you're allowed to farm, but you will feel bad about it. Players treat it like a playground. The devs treat it like a behavioral correction chamber. It's a treadmill disguised as freedom, a mercy killing disguised as a feature, a sandbox where all the sand is glued down so you don't choke on it. And the moment this mode launched, half the player base migrated to it, like pigeons discovering free bread. Not because they love it, but because finally, for the first time in months, the grind wasn't fighting them back. And that's when the real concern hit. If this is the easy XP path, what happens to the rest of the game? Zoom out for a minute. Because this update isn't just patch notes, it's a preview of how Battlefield will treat its players from now on. We've seen the pattern before. Introduce a controversial change. Players riot devs pretend to listen, replacement system. Quietly becomes the new normal. Warzone did it, Halo Infinite did it. Overwatch 2 is literally built out of this cycle like a cursed Lego set. And now, Battlefield's doing the same thing. Except with guns, drones, and 12-year-olds who scream, skill issue, while missing 9 out of 10 shots. The formula is simple. First, the mode is optional. Then it gets the highest XP per minute. Then sweaty core modes start to feel punishing. Then the devs say, we're only supporting what players actually play. And suddenly the original game is gone, replaced by a streamlined, bot-padded, dopamine-regulated treadmill. Right now, Casual Breakthrough is optional. But if the player count rises high enough, the game will officially shift to support demand. Meaning, real Battlefield fades. Bot. Battlefield becomes the default. Skill becomes niche. XP becomes the only currency that matters. You wake up one day, launch Battlefield, and instead of warfare, the game feels like a battle pass with gun physics. That's the future this update is testing. Not fun, not fixing bugs, not listening to feedback. It's population shaping. You still progress the battle pass, but battle pass isn't skill-based. You earn XP, but not stats. You gain rank, but not recognition. That's not an accident. That's the domestication of the FPS player. A de-skilled, de-competitive, reward-dependent player base is easier to retain, easier to monetize, easier to control, easier to shape into metrics. Once stats don't matter, skill doesn't matter. Once skill doesn't matter, balance doesn't matter. Once balance doesn't matter, design doesn't matter. Once design doesn't matter, the only thing left is the XP treadmill. And who controls the treadmill? Not you, not the player base, the developer. That's the shift nobody saw, because they were too busy grinding weapon XP on bots with the emotional vocabulary of a toaster. You do not. Rebuild the challenge system, remove XP servers, rewrite XP values, create a new XP-regulated mode, restrict stat tracking, rewire progression pathways. Unless you know the original system was collapsing. This update wasn't a fix, it was a confession letter disguised as a patch note. The devs didn't just fix problems, they pivoted the foundation of the game. A game that used to reward chaos, creativity, skill, and ridiculous battlefield moments is now slowly shifting toward bot-safe grinding XP first, gameplay second. Mandatory curated progress systems, reward loops designed for retention, not mastery. A future where Battlefield feels less like war, more like a battle pass treadmill with explosions. And whether that future is good or bad, that's not my decision anymore. That's on you, the players. So, now I ask the only question that matters. Is Battlefield evolving, or being quietly replaced with a live service simulator wearing a military helmet? You decide. I'm already too far gone to care. If Assault is chaos and Recon is detachment, Engineer is pure, unfiltered practicality. You don't fight wars, you maintain them. Your tool, the repair torch, your weapon, a middle finger aimed squarely at entropy. Engineers have improved hipfire with SMGs and take less damage near vehicles. You are Battlefield's mechanic, medic, and part-time pyromaniac. When a tank explodes, you're already halfway there, welding it back together like a drunk surgeon operating on a war crime. You are the unthanked backbone of every match. Assault gets the glory, Recon gets the clips, Support gets the pity. You get the satisfaction of knowing your work is invisible, but vital. And there's one more hidden perk. If you're repairing a vehicle, no one else can enter it. That's right, you legally own the tank until you decide otherwise. You're not just fixing it, you're gatekeeping it. You're also the only one who can make SMGs feel like laser beams. Tight spread, fast handling. It's like hip-firing a philosophy degree, reckless but surprisingly accurate. Engineers are the blue-collar philosophers of the battlefield. Working-class thinkers with wrenches instead of wisdom, holding civilization together one busted tread at a time. You'll die in the mud, sure, but you'll die relevant. Support is the quiet power fantasy of people who don't need attention. You don't seek glory, you manufacture it for everyone else. Your weapon? The LMG, heavy, loyal, and completely unapologetic. You get faster aim down sight, no sprint penalty, and the ability to suppress reality itself. While everyone else sprints into chaos, you move like a force of nature, slow, steady, statistically inevitable. Your bullets don't kill, they convince. They whisper to enemies, go prone, rethink your life choices. And here's the trick. That speed boost, it's not about running faster, it's about never stopping. You maintain baseline sprint even while lugging a gun big enough to qualify as a war crime. Support is the quiet power fantasy of people who don't need attention. You don't seek glory, you manufacture it for everyone else. Your weapon? The LMG, heavy, loyal, and completely unapologetic. You get faster aim down sight, no sprint penalty, and the ability to suppress reality itself. While everyone else sprints into chaos, you move like a force of nature, slow, steady, statistically inevitable. Your bullets don't kill, they convince. They whisper to enemies, go prone, rethink your life choices. And here's the trick. That speed boost, it's not about running faster, it's about never stopping. You maintain baseline sprint even while lugging a gun big enough to qualify as a war crime. You're the squad's ammunition dealer, medic, therapist, and passive-aggressive dad. When someone screams, need ammo, you're already there, silently tossing a crate and muttering, maybe aim better next time. Support is the rhythm section of war. Never flashy, never thanked, but without you, the music stops. You are the heartbeat of teamwork wrapped in 7.62 NATO. And when you drop that LMG, plant your bipod, and hold the trigger until time itself begins to stutter. That's not suppression, that's spiritual dominance. After years of chaos, DICE finally remembered what Battlefield used to be. Structured madness. They looked at 2042's everyone can do everything philosophy and said, let's undo our crimes. This class system isn't nostalgia, it's penance. It forces identity back into a franchise that forgot what teamwork meant. Now, every class has its sacred role again. Assault charges, Recon observes, Engineer sustains, Support endures. The developers aren't just balancing gameplay, they're teaching morality. They're saying, pick a role, accept your suffering, contribute to something greater. It's almost religious, except instead of faith, you have attachment points. And honestly, it works. For the first time in years, Battlefield feels like Battlefield again. Not just a sandbox for chaos, but a philosophy of coordinated destruction. Even with the new RedSec Battle Royale on the horizon, the same truth applies. You win not because you're the best, but because you understand the system. You play your role. You commit to the absurd. Battlefield doesn't reward ego. It rewards obsession. And if that isn't a metaphor for life, I don't know what is. So, yeah, that's the update. XP is now supervised like a toddler in a museum. RedSec got exposed like a hostage negotiation, disguised as a game mode. Portal farms died, so EA could build an official farm with velvet ropes. Battlefield is slowly transforming into the world's most violent daycare center. If you learned something today, great. If you suffered psychological damage, even better. If you're angry, leave a comment. If you're coping, hit like. If you're still here, congratulations. You have the attention span of a war criminal piece.